everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the BD Sports Talk Podcast. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Bill, along with the brothers, the co-hosts. Women want them, men want to be them. The D and E of the BDE, Dean and Eddie. Fellas, I hope you had a better week than me. How are we feeling?
Good. Yeah. I was going to make a reference to a WWE exec, head of talent relations right there, but I'm just going to leave it alone
Yeah.
for now.
Yikes.
People power.
Yikes. People power.
Before we get going, I just want to say thank you to the official sponsor of the BD Sports Talk Podcast, Adobo Boy in Kentwood, Michigan. As most of you know, we're three brothers that are Filipinos. And with being Filipinos, we love Filipino food, and Adobo Boy is where you go if you want amazing Filipino food. Their menu rotates weekly, so there's always a reason to come back to try more delicious Filipino cuisines. But one dish you can always count on is Red's Pork Adobo Bowl, which is an iconic Filipino dish. Dean, tell us about that delicious bowl of goodness.
I love it. Let me tell you how much. No, I'm just kidding. I do. I really do love it. It's their main dish that they serve on every week. It has like tender pork adobo, braised in soy sauce, vinegar, and served with rice with Jackie's achara, or a papaya salad with cucumber and fried rice. It's fantastic. You can't go wrong if you get that.
Do you mix it together or do you separate it?
I personally, I like to eat it separate. The papaya is a good palate cleanser before, if you had something beforehand or whatever.
Have you guys asked them what they would prefer, or not prefer, but what they would recommend? Eat
No,
it
I
together
haven't.
or separate? I'm just curious to know what their opinion was. I don't think there's a wrong way to eat something delicious, right?
Right.
But I'm just curious.
Well, I know you're a guy
My
that
own.
likes to just mix everything together when.
I'm a mixer. I'm a mixer. Yeah, I like it all together.
You can do it that way. You can do it my way. Just go there.
Couldn't agree more, Dean. And this week they're featuring Sinigang na Baboy, which is a pork soup with veggies. And also they brought back the Pancit Bami, which is a Filipino dish with veggies as well, which is also delicious. So
That sounds
if
like
you want-
Filipino Vietnamese combo there.
No, that's banh mi,
Oh, my
Yeah.
bad.
Silly.
which also is delicious, by the way.
Fantastic.
Oh, so good. Anyways, yeah, it's pancit. You know, I looked it up beforehand. I know we've heard pancit. I think it's just whatever you like. So, so if you want some amazing food and vibes, stop into Adobo Boy, where owners Ace, Jackie, and Red are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. If you stop in, mention the code BDE Sports Talk Podcast for 5% off the total bill. Adobo Boy is open Tuesday, Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. for lunch, and 5 to 7:30 for dinner. On Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. for lunch, and 5 to 8:30 for dinner on Saturday. Adobo Boy is located at 3740 28th Street, Southeast Kentwood, Michigan, and is inside the amazing Myanmar restaurant, which is also a delicious place to go to as well. So stop in there. BD Sports Talk Podcast, 5% off. So, also, just wanted to say before we get going to everyone watching and or listening, be sure to subscribe so you know when episodes come out. And if you like this episode this week, hit the like button, which helps grow the channel. And we do appreciate everybody. So with that said, fellas, the NFL season's over. Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
It's been over for a couple of weeks now, right? when the Lions lost. That's when it ended for me.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
about you
I was
guys,
like,
right?
I was like, it was Sunday. It was a good game. Congrats to the Chiefs and their fans. Also, did want to throw in there real quick thoughts and prayers out to everyone affected by yesterday's tragedy at the celebration parade. Really sad that you have to, in the back of your mind, like be worried about going to an event to support your team. Like these days, it's I don't know, it just sense. So hopefully everyone that was injured recovers. But just wanted to throw that out there. So awkward transition, huh? After watching the game, does it feel like the Lions could have beat Kansas City? Did you guys get that feeling at all?
I feel like they could have. I mean, it's not impossible. I think they would have put up just as good of a fight. If maybe I don't even know. I don't know. You can't really say better. More of a like because they did beat the Lions. But it was funny because I saw that tweet by Antonio Brown, and I've never agreed with him more. he was like he's like does anybody else feel like the Detroit Lions would be winning 35-10 against the Chiefs right now? It's like AB, you're crazy, but I like your style right now. Take your jersey off anytime. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes and no, because in the end it was the team that beat them. So I mean, we're biased, so of course I would say, yeah, I feel like the Lions would have won. But then again, you have that Chiefs lost to them week 1. Are they looking for some type of revenge if they you know what I mean, like type of thing? Like they're probably playing harder. I mean, it's a Super Bowl regardless, but I don't know. I mean, if fans and butts, right? It's like
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, if our if it's for AB,
it's not like
is
it
the
was
only
Tom
guy out
Brady
there saying that. I mean, he's got a clear amount of CTE going.
It's cleared up.
I
It
do
was
agree
cleared
with
up
him.
during that tweet.
Cleared up.
It cleared up.
It was a fairly entertaining second half. It still felt slow. Maybe it was just good defense. I don't know. But the whole game seemed kind of like a slog to me. I wasn't really pulling for either team. I kind of find myself pulling for the 49ers at the end for no real reason other than I guess maybe I didn't want to see the Chiefs win. I don't really know.
Right.
I think, yeah, they definitely could have won. They definitely could have lost.
Right.
You never know. Watching the game, you felt like the Lions could win, but those are both the Chiefs and Niners dynamic teams with really nice veteran playmaker rosters. So it's hard to say. I mean, I could see the Lions if they were in it. It could have been the same type of game.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw, you come out like the third quarter, where we give up the ball 3 times in a row to start out the second half, and that could easily happen in the second quarter or the first half. I mean, both teams are really good, so that's the thing. That's the bummer of the whole thing is we'll never know.
We don't know.
And they didn't do enough to get there. So,
Right.
yeah, they could have won, but they obviously could have absolutely zero chance of winning because they didn't go. So.
Right. Yeah, I agree pretty much. I don't think they would have won. Honestly, if I mean, any Sunday you can win, but I mean, you watch that overtime drive by Mahomes, and San Francisco had nothing for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there was like maybe 1 4th down. I think they converted a 4th down,
Like that.
but I mean, after that, it was just chunk play after chunk play, and that's one of those things where Detroit's been not great at, right? Like, I don't know. I just you're right. 0% chance because they weren't there, and I think there was a reason for that, and you can point to the defense and say I don't think they stopped them there. I just don't this year, and that's not dogging them. I mean the Lions are a good team, but I mean Kansas City in that moment they've been there and it showed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
And like I said, like you guys said, I mean, you can win. There's no reason for that not to think that. I just watching that game and thinking about the secondary and you know just what we saw against San Francisco. I was just like, yeah,
I mean, I'd agree with you. If it came down to that kind of situation, I do not think the Lions win.
Right.
But could they have built up a couple touchdowns? It feels like it. But well, again, like Dean said, we're biased. And two, it doesn't matter because didn't do enough to make it. So
right.
you know,
So the next, we kind of got into the off season a little bit last week, and the question I wanted to bring up this week that he's going to be a free agent was Chris Jones, right? Chris Jones, great player, great defender. I think he's what, 30 now, 30, 31.
Something
like that.
I saw that they had Detroit as a possible destination for him. Do you want them to pay him? Because it's going to be a lot of money. I mean, and rightfully so. Do you pay him?
For me, it depends on how long the deal is, because at some point you got to pay some of these younger guys on the team, and then you have to think Goff's deal is up after this year, and if he plays as good as he did this year, they're gonna re-sign him regardless of what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? Even if they're like, oh, it's all Ben Johnson, whatever. They're gonna re-sign him no matter who's the offensive coordinator the following year, whatever. So it comes down to how many years. If he's willing to do like a 1 year, big money for the 1 year, just to solidify that D line just a little bit more. Because Aleem McNeil's, he's a budding star. He's on the cusp of being one of the better D tackles in the league. Once again, being biased, but I don't think that's even really being that biased. I think he played well enough to be considered a guy, right? So for me, it would come down to years, because Hutch's contract is going to be up in a couple of years. Given they have the option, so I think they have him for 3 more years. Like I said, Goff, I think a Sewell. If they want to re-sign Decker, I think his contract's coming up. Just different positions where, where that I feel like it's a little bit more important than getting a D tackle in when we really play more of a 3-4 defense anyway. So that's what it would come down to me. It'd be a great signing. Brad Holmes thinks that'll help the team. Which he would, but that I'd be okay with it. But
Eddie?
Yeah. I don't know. I think he ends up staying with the Chiefs at the end of the day. But I could also see him walking, because they let Tyreek walk, or they traded him or whatever. So if it doesn't make sense, they're not going to keep it, and that's what keeps a good franchise going. I think Chris Jones is looking for I would imagine, a big deal towards the top of the market. I just don't see Brad Holmes doing that. And if he does, again, like we've talked about, over the last 37 weeks, he's built up the trust to where if he did it, you'd be like, okay, he's got something figured out here. But it seems very unlikely based on what he's going to want. Dean's highlighted the looming contracts that the Lions are going to have to pay at some point here. I think more likely to get somebody like Danielle Hunter, who's probably at least a third less of the money. Right. And could probably do 2 or 3 years, and that'd probably line up for when Hutch has got to get paid. Or something like that. A bunch of smart people are working on it, and we're just 3 Pinos trying to get another pork adobo bowl from Red there. So, but yeah, no, that's what I think. I don't think so. It seems unlikely to me, but who knows?
Yeah.
I
It
guess.
would be a splash for sure. You know what I mean? That's a
Oh,
big free agent
definitely.
splash.
It'd be
Well,
huge.
Mm.
and I agree with everything you guys said. I put on here honestly no. I exactly what you said. If they do, then I trust Brad and Dan to the point where I'll say, all right, well, great signing, let's do this, right?
Mm.
Um, I mean, I put a list together of free agents next year. Now, I did see something today where they're working on an extension for Amon Ra. So a
Yeah,
big
I didn't even
extension.
mention. I didn't even mention his contract coming up here soon.
So next year you got Goff, Decker, Tracy Walker, Panay Sewell, John Kaminsky, Levi Onzwerke, Lee McNeil, Ifatu Melifonwu, Amon Ra, and Derek Barnes. Now, obviously, you're going to get rid of a couple of them, but I mean that's what you're looking at. You know what I mean? That's what you're facing.
Name
And
of
then, like you said, you got Hutch coming up too at some point. You know, Gibbs and you know, you got all these guys that you want to keep around. I don't know if they're, I would assume, at some point you're going to get rid of Kaminsky. The
probably
a
once his
couple of those
contract's
guys,
up.
maybe even Tracy Walker. But still, I mean, those are guys that if you want to keep around, you still got to pay them. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. I just don't see it happening. Plus, I'd rather keep Sewell and Ali McNeil anyway. you know,
Yeah. Unless
sure.
McNeil keeps getting hurt. I mean, that's the only thing stopping. It'll be a prove it year for him this year. You know what I mean? Stay healthy and play somewhere close to what he did this year. He'll get paid. So
right. All right. So, moving on, let's talk about the Pistons. We didn't get to the rest of their transactions that they had. The big one being Bojan and Alec Burks going to New York for Quentin Grimes, Malachi Flynn, Ryan, well, he can't say his name, Evan Fournier, and a pair of second round draft picks. Do you guys? Oh, of course. I mean, I'll let Eddie talk about Killian, but do you guys like the move? By getting rid of Alec and Bojan?
I, for me, I don't know if it really. I mean, they feel like when I was watching them play the other night. I mean, it feels like they're more well rounded, I guess. But at the same time, I don't know how much. I mean, at this point, is it more just to see how many assets they can get, and because it's not like they're making a push for the playoffs or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, it was an okay trade, I guess. I mean, try to rebuild those second rounders. I mean, Troy's got to make moves, and if he wants to maybe keep his job. So, I, I mean, I guess they seemed okay to me. I guess.
Eddie, you said that Bojan's gone.
Not really. I mean, with
Tired of
Bojan on the
Bojan
floor,
Dream.
you have to choose what you want to do. He's a terrible defender. Real bad. I mean, if you watch enough of him, I mean, when he's out there, he can't keep up with guys at his position anymore. And he wasn't good when he was younger,
Right.
defending. So, but you get that shooting. And so that's what we had to decide with for a long time was if we pull Bojan out, we can't stretch the floor anymore. But if we leave him in, the other team's going to be able to score all the time if they want. And that's really where it struggled. And really, all that happened was they made a few moves that should have happened in the off season. I mean, to have just a regular team that can shoot and defend isn't asking a lot.
Right.
I think that's really all that happened. I mean, but we're really, it came down to the two guys, Fontecchio and Grimes, are really the only two that are they're looking forward to see if these are future pieces. Muscala's playing, but he's just kind of whatever, right? I mean, he's not anything. Killian, yeah, he they should have moved him if anybody had any interest in the offseason. It's stupid that it's now. It says a lot that last I checked, he hadn't even been signed by a team. And it says also a lot about Troy's ability to identify talent on another level. I just, they're playing a little bit better, but that's because, again, you just have more options on the floor that can also shoot and defend in the same series of things happening. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how much credit he's going to take for that. It's stupid. I actually had a fun quiz question for you guys on this. The first part of it is probably going to be pretty easy. Technically, it was February 19th, but when we recorded, it was the 20th anniversary, because it was the trade deadline day, of what big trade for the Pistons?
Rashid,
correct. The other part of that was, what team did he play for one game between Portland and Detroit?
the Hawks.
Yeah, I was going to say it was Atlanta.
It was Atlanta. But there's one more piece to that.
Okay.
Who else did we get in that trade that was a nice piece to that championship run? The forgotten piece of the trades that brought us Rashid.
Man, I was pretty young.
I
was pretty young when this happened,
That's fair. So were we.
So was it Chucky?
Yeah, but
Atkins?
you guys are way older.
I was 16.
Was it Chucky Atkins?
I was 11. Chucky
Atkins is a great answer.
Wasn't he already on the team the year before, though? Chucky Atkins? Am I wrong? I don't know.
I thought you were.
I was 10. I was 10.
Do you have a guess? Do you have a guess or no?
No, I don't.
Chucky Atkins, I think, actually got moved during those trades. Mike James.
Mike James.
That was my guess.
Mike James.
I was going to throw a name out there, but didn't give me a chance.
I meant to bring that up last week because we were recording on I guess the anniversary of it, because it was the deadline day, but it was actually the 19th when we got Rashid. But yeah, no, that's all I had on the other stuff. I just wanted to lighten it up a little bit with a little happy Pistons history.
Speaking of happy Pistons, there's a certain Piston. Oh, we're going to wait a second.
He's just happy.
He's very happy.
Wait a second.
Oh.
Huh? Well, on Killian, I know why nobody traded for him, though. He was getting paid like 10 mil this season. And nobody wants it, you know what I mean? Like, nobody wants... Well, what's he going to contribute? You're paying him 10 mil? I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, but, I mean, now that he's waived...
He probably is.
They're
like
still not signing.
He's probably like 5 mil, and they're like, "No, dude, you're not worth. You're not worth it."
They're probably like 10-day contract.
Yeah,
a 2-way contract.
Yeah.
Can we pay for a ticket back to France?
Do the Pistons keep beef stew?
Hold on. You say fist?
Yeah. He got arrested yesterday.
Oh, gotcha. Whew, that's what we all thought, right? That's what we all thought. Really? He got oh yeah, that's right. With who was the other guy? Who was the other player?
I don't know. I think it was their center or something like that. Yeah. Is his 3-point shooting as valuable
Nope.
Feed him more shots. So this is my remedy to all of our Pistons problems. Let him take the step back. Somebody teach that man the step back jumper.
No, just teach him the bounce pass. Instead of shooting it, give it a bounce pass. Let's see what happens.
Give him a quick bounce pass.
Unless
Give it
you're
down.
3 feet from the hoop, dish it.
Or wide open three.
Now you can
Here's
dish it.
Fair.
So I thought that was interesting but the Suns came out and were like, there's no place for this, and it was unprovoked. And Monty Williams comes back and he's like, it's kind of crazy that they released a statement without letting all the facts get out first. So now I'm kind of hoping that there's a reason that it provoked beef stew.
I mean, you get a bunch of grown men together and they're competitive and they're emotional and they, you know what I mean? And on Beef Stew's side, I could see him just constantly being frustrated because he's not making these shots. His team is not good. He's not turning them around in his own way. You know what I mean? He's not stirring the pot. He's
Before,
they're upset.
before the game.
I
This
mean,
was-
they're
he
probably
wasn't
doing
even
some
dressed.
chirping. They're probably doing some chirping at each other.
Well, they're definitely chirping.
And
at
then,
these-
that guy was probably like, dude, you guys won 4 games. He's like, no! It just went all out. He's like, I know.
He's like, take these 5 fingers.
I think to say the face.
So, anyways, moving on to some hope. Tigers pitchers and catchers report yesterday. And then the full team, it says the 19th. You think the Tigers can win the Central?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a great division. Other than like Minnesota's not bad. I saw a thing where within the division they're the second most likely to make the World Series. I don't know if that'll happen, but I mean they're at plus 6,000. So, and Minnesota's at plus 2,000. So I mean neither one of them are very likely to make it, but to win the division, I mean, you never know. I mean they improved a little last year. I mean, probably not the improvement that we wanted, but they did improve a little bit amount in record. They seem like they'll be solid on paper, I mean, they got guys that are on the verge of becoming really good players with Green and Torkelson, Carpenter, Colt Keith is getting called up. Am I frozen again? Is that why you guys are all smiling and stuff? Oh, I can't even hear you.
Your mic's off.
I'm back on.
Yeah, and Colt Keith is getting called up for this. I mean, we'll see what happens in spring training. See if he's like the number 13 prospect right now on MLB draft prospects or whatever. Then just those guys got to step up. I mean, they got to make the turn, make the leap, and just. I mean, to put it in simple, they just got to play better. and you know what? They'll have a legitimate shot at winning the AL Central. If they could just
Win
play
more games?
a little better and win
It
a
could
few more
happen.
games. They could do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance. There's always a chance, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm excited for baseball season, man. Definitely hoping to catch a few games live this year. Right now, going back to the odds, I mean, the Tigers are tied for second in the division to win the division at plus 350 with Cleveland. Minnesota was minus 115. Kansas City at plus 850. And the Trash Sox were somewhere below that. So, yeah, I do think they can win the Central. But is it like the season before last where we got all that hope, that big run in the second half of the season, and then they just kind of had a giant turd following up? But it's a different team. I mean, Green and Torque are the keys, probably hitting 2 and 3. Carpenter probably right there. Canna and Keith should be behind. But I think honestly, probably one of the biggest things is Javi needs to make a resurgence to have a legit run or be able to move him. But I don't think they'll be able to move him if he's not having a resurgence. So, and if he is, then we want to keep him. But if he's not, we can't move him. So 6 in the one and a half dozen the other. But so hopefully he plays well, and I think that'd be huge because right now he's probably projected to hit like 7th or 8th in the lineup, which is for the amount of money, like that's just dumb.
Maybe he can give us a Chris Shelton spring. You know what I'm saying? Give us those Babe Ruth numbers.
Yeah.
That's all we need out of you, Javi. A good spring.
I mean, just hitting 270 would be great.
Be awesome.
Maybe at 12 to 15 dingers, man. I mean, just have a nice season. You know, you don't have to light it up. Just give us a nice season to where it's like, okay, he's coming up. He's going to swing at the wildest pitch outside of the zone. You know, like what, you know what I'm saying? It just,
he's not seeing the ball yet.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
A couple of big wolf moments there.
Yeah.
I mean, dear Lord, man.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think they have a chance to win the division. I mean, they finished 9 games back last year on a team that I didn't think that. I think they're a better team this year. For everything you guys have already said, I don't need to repeat it. There were only 6 games under 500 for a team that I thought. I think they honestly played above what I thought they'd be last season. So, yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I'm ready for baseball season as well. So, all right, moving on to some college basketball real quick. Michigan, they beat Wisconsin after we talked that night. They after all that, then they went and got beat by 20 from Nebraska. So Ward Manuel said today that he supports Juwan at 8-17. I will stick with Juwan until he leaves. So
I'm gonna stay beside him.
That's your Michigan basketball update. You know, it is what it is.
They are who they are right now. You know.
Yeah. Michigan State lost to Minnesota, then they beat Illinois, which is a good win for them, beating Illinois.
It's a good win for anybody.
Yeah.
Not just them. For anybody.
No. I mean, they have tournament aspirations.
Like, that's really good for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be a great win for me. Yeah, I agree. But I mean, as for Michigan State with trying to make the tournament. So, how you feeling? How's tournament watch? How's Eddie's bracketology?
It's looking good right now. I mean, they had the win against Penn State yesterday, also, which was another nice road win. I was gonna say because originally we were gonna record before that game that winning the next 2 on the road were going to be important, Penn State and Michigan. Just important because you can't lose those. You know, it looks bad. Looks bad to lose those ones right now, especially in conference. I thought really they should win the next 4, starting with Penn State, in theory. But obviously, who knows what they'll do. They win those, they'll have 19 wins. So if they win against Michigan, then the following 2, they'll have 19 with an excellent strength of schedule, at least 2 key wins with Baylor and Illinois, and then 3 games to go. So you win one of those 3, which one of those is Purdue, so you're probably not winning that. But win one of those last 3, that's 20 wins. I would say that's pretty much a lock on getting in. I just hate that that's where we're at. It's just like, counting wins just to make the tournament. But they also have the talent there to make a run, and maybe I just feel that way because that's what I'm accustomed to, or because they were preseason high rank, or you know the talent's there. It's just I don't feel like they're starting to peak.
Right.
You know, as you start to do with a lot of Izzo teams, although they've won, 11 or of their last 15 or so, but stupid losses too in there. But I don't know. I feel good about them making the tournament as long as they don't lose silly games that they should win.
Mm.
If they win the games that they're favored to win, they'll definitely be in the tournament. So
Plus, you still have the Big Ten tournament, and
true.
So, I mean, that'll come down. It always seems like those Michigan State teams that are lower seeded always tend to do better than what we would expect them to. Like, I always feel like they always end up going farther in the tournament. I mean, I always pick them to win the national championship anyway, but but I feel like they go farther than what they're expected to when they're the lower seed. So we'll see come tournament time. If they've got to win these games first, though, like you said. So.
Yeah, I'd say that's always that's paid off for Izzo and State for a long time is when they're being, underestimated.
Yeah.
In regular season or postseason, I think it almost counts on it. If they're being underestimated, they seem to overperform.
Right. Like that year they beat Duke with Zion on their team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, given they were a high seed that year, but nobody thought they would take out Zion and Duke, So
yeah, for sure.
Know.
So, all right, well, let's lead into the Red Wings Weekly Update.
Did you just whoa us right there?
My finger.
Throw it up.
My wings are like whoa.
So Red Wings went 1-1 over the week. They beat Vancouver in overtime. Penalty shot from Wallman, then got beat pretty bad by Edmonton 8-4. Husso got hurt early against Edmonton. Look today, he's listed as week to week. He actually looked pretty good before he got hurt. He made a couple saves that I was like, oh, okay, all right. He's fighting for his job, And then, he got hurt. He's listed week to week. Vancouver, best team in the NHL right now. Oilers, they've been red hot. And, it was tied 3-3 going into the third. It just got ugly. And, sometimes you have those games, but I mean, even their win against Vancouver was a come from behind win, right? So I'm not sure how to feel. When they play good, they play good. When they play, I can't even say that they played bad because they played pretty good hockey up until the third, and then just the wheels fell off. I mean, Connor McDavid is something. He's something else, man. He's crazy. Same with Patrick Kane. Dude, that guy, it's so nice to watch like him be on Detroit. The 2 power play goals that they had, those passes, oh my gosh. I'm like, dude.
I mean, that's, it's just one of those things. I mean, that's when you tell you're missing something like that, right? Like, those guys are just on a different level.
Yeah. Yeah. Connor McDavid, one of his assists the other night was absolutely insane. It was crazy. I'm like, man, must be nice. I mean,
then to be able to lean on Draisaitl when not, like, like we can only hope Larkin and like DeBrincat are as good as like Draisaitl. Right. They're just not gonna be McDavid.
Right.
They can't. They're just not.
No. There's only so many. I mean, we got Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
That's as close as it gets, right? I mean, just that pass from Kane to DeBrincat, dude, he just threaded the needle.
That's one thing I've noticed about DeBrincat in general, and I think maybe it talked about it within the first couple weeks. We started watching when the game started coming back on. Was something they've been missing was just he always puts himself in a good spot to score. Somehow he just understands where the pieces are moving and he just puts himself in a good spot to shoot. And he doesn't even lead our team in goals, I don't think. But just watching him, I just watch him sometimes play, and he puts himself in a good spot on offense quite frequent. I don't know.
I agree. I agree.
Love to see it, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. They play Vancouver tonight, which is Thursday. They don't play till 10, so I have it recorded. But and then they play Calgary and Seattle. So, those two, we'll see what happens tonight. But those next two games are, you got to win those games. So you got to win tonight too. I mean, you beat them once, beat them again. So, yeah, pretty much. I don't know if you guys have anything else on that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, no, not really. I was just hoping, they could split between the Edmonton and Vancouver games. Obviously, they dropped Edmonton. It's a lot to ask to beat Vancouver back to back. So,
Right.
I guess when I originally wrote my notes, I was really hoping that we'd beat Edmonton, but Edmonton now has won 18 of their last 20. I mean, they're as hot as you can get, pretty much. And Vancouver is as good as any team. So originally I'd hoped for a split, and now I'm like, just maybe an OTL. Try and escape with a point, man. I mean, Vancouver ain't gonna be messing around. They got to keep going what they got going on. So,
well, especially after last week.
Yeah, right.
We'll
see.
We'll see. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that will round out this week's episode. So, good episode. We'll see. The Red Wings really got me excited. I know we're about to end this, but I thoroughly enjoy watching the Red Wings play.
Were people denying you?
No.
No, you don't.
I mean,
you just wear a sweatshirt and call yourself a fan? Huh?
No.
Go to a Griffins game? Think you're the man?
I love going to Griffins games. Anyways, that will do it for this week's episode. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want a good laugh or something besides sports. Check out our new weekly podcast, Wake Up with the Sleeper Boys podcast, which is for now on our channel. That probably is going to change on YouTube, but search for Wake Up on Spotify and we'll be on there, or Apple Podcast, or I think iHeart too. So hope you all have an amazing week, and we will see you next time. Ow.
Sports Nuts.
Meow.
That was perfect.